Welcome to Garden Wise Adventures. My name is Malie, and today I'm excited because we're going to start a new adventure. I would like to take you along with me while we start my indoor gardening for the season. And I would like to kind of teach you the ins and outs and everything that I have learned so far in the last 5 years of indoor gardening. Now, just as a little introduction, I did not start indoor gardening till about 5 years ago. And before that point, I really kind of assumed that I did not know how to keep things alive in pots. In my opinion, if I put something in a pot, it was going to die. If I grew anything outside, it was going to thrive. Really great at growing things outside. But 5 years ago, I decided I wanted to learn how to start my own seeds because I was starting to garden a lot more heavily and grow a lot more of what I eat. And I realized I was going to have to learn how to grow things in pots and to make seeds stay alive. So I embarked on some education. I started making some purchases so that I could have the proper equipment, and I'd like to share with you what I've learned so far. So let's give you a tour of my grow room, and I do have a grow room. And as we give the tour of the grow room, I'll let you know the topics that we're going to cover in this series on indoor gardening. So this is my grow room. There's several things growing in here, but it's going to fill up completely by the time we're done. I have several different seed racks. We have different kinds of lighting. So just so you know, the very first place I started my indoor gardening experience was on this plant rack right here. And let me show you where I had it. So this is my front door area. It's kind of small. And right in this corner right here is where I had that plant rack. The reason I put it here is because this is the only spot in my entire house that had any real decent light. My house is facing west, and the south side does not have any real windows to it, which is kind of fortunate and unfortunate at the same time. Unfortunate in that I can't grow plants, fortunate in that it doesn't heat up the house. But the experience of growing plants on this plant stand was very disappointing. Obviously, didn't have the right amount of light. I didn't know how to water them. I didn't even think about fertilizing, and we had very little success. So the next thing I moved to, and I'll see if I can find a picture of it, was this table right here. And we built ourselves a PVC stand, purchased grow lights. These are the Fairy Morris grow lights from Home Depot. We purchased a set of these and started seeds under that. And that was my first success. I was able to get seeds started, get them to grow up to transplanting size, and they survived and did really well. Then my son moved out. He turned 19, moved out and on with his life, and I co-opted his room as he was on his way out. I was so excited. I could have a room where I could start building my grow room. First thing I did was purchase this rack and some lights. The lights that I purchased were cheap lights off Amazon, and they worked perfectly for starting seeds and growing greens, but I needed something a little stronger. So then I went with these Walmart shop lights. And these Walmart shop lights are surprisingly strong enough that they can fruit tomatoes and peppers. Then we moved on. I decided I wanted to grow citrus, but I couldn't fit the citrus on these racks. So I bought another rack, made it tall enough for my citrus, and purchased these Sensei lights. And then we went on to purchase more lights so that they could get more light. And it's been working beautifully. As you can see, we've got my mandarin orange flowering. They look pretty healthy. And we've got little lemons that are flowering and forming. Now I'll link more information about how I grow citrus indoors and what I've learned about that. I'll link that down below and up above. We moved on to ginger. This is the first year of 3 years trying that I've had success growing ginger. And it's all about humidity. And we'll talk about humidity and how to increase humidity in a room in this series. As we'll also talk about the racks and different places that you could use if you don't have racks to grow plants, and lighting. We have another little citrus back here. This is an Australian blood lime. We've got a little fruit right here. I've already harvested fruit off this, and we've got more flowers down here. They're not edible, but we've got all my succulents. that have very specific needs, and we can cover succulents if everybody's interested in that. Succulents are doing well. And these are the first things that I started for this year's indoor gardening for edibles. We've got some chiji-misai, we've got some chard, and we've got some kale that are doing beautifully, and they're all being grown in pots. We've also got pots ready to start planting up the rest of my vegetables that we're going to grow indoors. We're going to grow lettuce and peas and peppers, tomatoes. Everything that you wouldn't think you would be able to grow indoors, we're going to be growing indoors. This is my seed starting rack. I've made the levels different heights so that we could accommodate different size plants in different trays. We've got our seed starting mix and our seed starting trays ready to go. We'll do that together and go over everything that I've done with this. We've got pots ready to pot up the seeds once they get big enough. And then we've got where I'm going to grow my lettuce, and we're going to talk more about that. Now we're also going to talk about insect control, fertilizer, watering, everything that you need to know to be able to successfully grow indoors. We're also going to talk about hydroponics. I have a couple of hydroponic units and the pros and cons to that. There are so many different things that you can grow indoors, and there's so many different ways you can do it, even if you don't have an elaborate setup like mine. So I'm really hoping that you are excited about this and want to join in this venture with me. And if this video has been helpful to you, I hope you like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and go have a wonderful garden adventure.